Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the special presentation of Syracuse Football. It's an evening huddle brought to you by Dunn Tire, the official tire dealer of Syracuse Athletics. I'm Matt Park. Great to have you with us at the Icolano-Petty football wing here on campus and in person, if you can believe it. We're going to talk with the Syracuse football coordinators tonight, answer some of your questions about what's happened through the offseason and get you set for the upcoming football season through the summer and into the fall. We welcome you into the football auditorium along with Sterlin Gilbert, who's about to go into his second season as the offensive coordinator here. Coach, great to see you. And literally, we mean in person, because after this wonky year, we haven't seen anybody. We haven't been in this building. And I know you have been under unusual circumstances. Just to be clear, we're socially distant. We've got 3 Dunn Tires between us to mark it off. Everybody is being safe in this environment, and it's great to see you in person.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Glad to be here. Excited about it. Excited to be able to reach out to the fans in this capacity, and just excited about getting back to some normalcy and have some interaction with our great, Orange fans and yourself. So excited about tonight.
All right, we'll talk a little ball here, and really, with all due respect, because it wasn't a normal year last year in every respect, I don't have to tell you that. We didn't get a chance to get to know you and tell your story. And how about you and your family and your background here? We do know on paper, you and Coach Babers have been at it a while, including stops at Eastern Illinois and Bowling Green. Maybe you pick it up as a high school coach and you get an opportunity to be at Eastern and maybe give us the path for the last handful of years.
Yeah, so just like you just said, I was a high school coach at Temple High School right there south of Waco, and had the opportunity with Coach Babers to go to Eastern Illinois. Little did we know, a guy named Jimmy Garoppolo was sitting there. So that was obviously a fun surprise as we got into it and got coaching and had two really good seasons there. And had the opportunity to go to Bowling Green, which was great. And had a successful run there. And I was there for 1 season, and Coach was there for 2. And I went to Tulsa, was at the University of Texas, South Florida, McNeese, and had a chance and opportunity to come back with Coach this past season.
So you caught up with Charlie Strong there for a couple of years, Texas and South Florida, then your own head coaching job. And I don't care what level it is at. And we've had over time a handful of former head coaches, maybe at lower levels, that have been coordinators or position coaches here. How does that inform your job now? Are you a better coordinator now, having been a head coach even for a season at the college level?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. And just until you sit in that chair, you've not sat in that chair, and you just know the things that go on and some of the ins and outs of things and how they work and how important and vital it is for assistant coaches to do their job and to be at their best daily and handle kids and handle situations and things. And so I'm always in tune to that and making sure doing those things and trying to provide the best opportunity for us and for Coach Babers to have success. So we know last year was a whirlwind for a lot of different reasons, and the season itself didn't pan out. We'll talk about that a little bit. Nobody's interested in the gory detail here. I just wondered, if you went back 12 months as COVID hits, how it scrambled things, how it impacted what you were able to do. Because one thing that was unique about Syracuse, COVID happened to everybody, but Syracuse was a school going into it with 2 new coordinators who we're going to hear from here tonight. Yeah, it was different. I go back and I just think about it. I think about the game of football really prepares you for those kind of moments. Adversity hits, things change. You got to stay flexible, keep your knees bent, adjust. And those are things we did on the fly, and just working to make it work with our kids. Stay in tune with our kids, continue to create relationships and get to know our kids through Zoom. Taking advantage of technology. So those are the things that we jumped immediately on. And did, just like you just said, being new, you're trying to get to know the staff, you're trying to get to know kids, you're installing things. So all those, they all chose a challenge for us. But, we, like I said, we attacked it, we got after it, and technology wise, we were able to reach our kids on a daily basis, which was really helpful for us.
So the season goes, we know how it goes. It's a 1-10 season. I know the offensive numbers are not what you had in mind. How representative of you or the program or your goals was last season?
Yeah, not at all. And that's what's got us motivated right now. Been motivated every day and since then, and our kids are in that mode. We talk about it every day right now, staying to get better business. And that's what we're going through right now through in spring ball. We look up and we have gotten better We're getting better, and our guys are feeling that. We're doing different things that we haven't put on tape, in the previous year's time. So that's encouraging to see on a daily basis. So just excited. We're excited about every day. We got 5 left, as we said here today. And, we got to be better when we come out of those next 5 as well.
Sure. And those spring practices are so vital, particularly because you didn't have them last year. And we're going to discuss over the course of the night what difference that makes, because this is such an important time for the development of the team. In terms of our night tonight, we're going to visit with Coach Gilbert here for a moment. Then Tony White, the defensive coordinator, will be with us as well. They both have brought some video to show, kind of like a movie and a talk show. You've got some clips to show. So we're encouraged to see some evidence of what you saw last year that went well and how you can build on that over the course of the season. What are you doing right now in the spring in terms of, we know that strength and conditioning is very important, but when you're in these football meetings and football practices, how are you getting better here in April?
Yeah, you hit on the strength condition part. That's kind of phase 1 of it, and phase 2 gets you in the spring ball. So, the way our schedule's set up, we practice Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with Monday, Wednesday meetings, and then our practices on Friday and Saturday in the afternoon. So meetings come in the morning. But it's just about teaching and coaching right now. That's what it's about. And going out, being fundamentally sound, technique sound, understanding, learning the offense. I think back a couple of days ago, we were looking at some video from like day 1 of day 2 of practice, and how different and how much better we are from those. And it's just about a growth mindset. Like I said, our whole deal mantra right now is staying to get better business. And, our kids, they've done that. They've bought into it, and they can see it. They can feel it of us getting better.
Are you noticing tangible differences because you're able to put your feet on the grass and direct people if they're not in the right spot lined up or whatever? Because I know, in talking with Coach Babers over the years, there's so much attention to detail in this playbook. In fact, there isn't really even a playbook in a lot of ways, but that you're more effective doing it out here on the practice turf than you are on a computer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 100%. If our kids are out actively doing it instead of seeing it over a Zoom and drawing up, when they're able to lock in and have their feet on the ground and move their feet in the direction where they're supposed to be and putting hands on people, that's where the growth comes. That's where the improvement comes, when they get these reps and they get the opportunity to go out and actually do it. So having these practices is extremely important. It's very vital for our success, coming into this season, like you said, that we didn't have a year ago.
In this past year prior to this spring, when you first showed up here, let's say, did the offense look like what you expected it to be? Is this similar to what you guys have been doing for a number of years? Coach Lynch was involved. There are different people involved, Tim, just different people. It almost feels like a car to me. You're the mechanic and you're coming in, and Coach Babers uses those types of analogies, that it's a race car.
Yeah.
He wants it driven like a race car. And we're here with the tires from Dunn Tire and everything else. When you first come in, what do you see, and how do you work on it?
Yeah, very similar. Yes, you go back with myself and Coach Babers and the places we've been. Yes, very similar. And then just come in and just tweak, and you're just trying to match it with personnel. What is your personnel? What are your people? What do our guys do? What do they do best? What does the quarterback do? What does he do best? And just like that, yeah, it's like a race car meant to go fast. Make the tires sing. And make sure we're being aggressive on our end of it. And that's what we're doing. And again, you go into this period right now is about evaluation. We're getting to evaluate all these guys and just see, every day they're evaluated. They're on tape. What does this guy do good? What does this guy need to be better at? Or maybe this isn't his forte with this. Okay, so let's tweak it this way, or maybe not even do this, if it doesn't fit us. So you're going through that whole process right now over the 15 days. You're eliminating stuff, adding stuff, and then just fine tuning things.
Yeah, thinking about some of your predecessors. Sean Lewis goes on to do his own thing at Kent State, and they put up some nice numbers. And you mentioned Tulsa, Coach Montgomery there. There's a lot of similarities, but individual tweaks from one school to the next, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So what were you most excited about? Look, it was apparent with injuries and everything else that you were going to have a bumpy road last year. When it's over, and that Notre Dame game, which showed some promise, that's over. What were you most excited to get into?
Just getting back with our kids and some normalcy, which we've started to feel, and we're starting to get, where you just have consistency, where every day is not such a, is it even going to happen, or what's going to happen? We're kind of through that a little bit. So just excited about that. I think the consistency all the way going back through phase one of offseason, everything has been good. Our guys have gotten stronger. They've attacked the days. The way it was set up was tough, and our kids responded to that. So that's been encouraging. It's been exciting. Just like I said, spring ball, we sat here with 5 days left, with still room and for improvement, which we know, there's a point you want to be at when you come out of these 5 days. It carries into the summer, and then the summer carries into the fall camp, and then you jump right into the season. So there's still room and growth, that's got to transition from spring ball to the summer to fall camp, and the fall camp right into the season.
We're going to work through some of the position groups here, and we thank the season ticket holders not only for being season ticket holders and your support of the program. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we thank all of you that submitted questions. One in particular, Don S. Don S. wants my job. Don, so many questions. We're going to ask a lot of those questions anyway. We might not go word for word, but Don, you're right there, man. And if we're ever sick or we need a producer or a host, Don's got all the questions for you, Coach. And so we're going to move them right in. But I want to we'll just kind of go through the groups. We don't talk offensive line enough, so I think it's a reasonable place to start, in particular because we know that last year was a mismatch for various reasons by necessity. You had a player in Chris Bleich who, now everybody's transferring anywhere. Paperwork didn't work out for him. Disappointing to have to sit out. He's available to you now. The Davises are available to you now. Aaron Service sticks around for another year, and the list goes on. So that group has more bodies than it has had here in recent seasons. Let's start with that. What are you seeing on the turf in the spring?
Yeah, those guys have steady improvement with those guys. Excited about those guys coming back, with Aaron coming back, really gives us quality depth and puts a solid, 5 up front, and then you create competition. When you've got guys like that and you've got numbers, you can create competition. You think back to Rhino, he jumps from being a starting fullback down to be our starting guard, which is just unselfish on his part and speaks highly about his athletic ability and who he is as a person. So now we're able to put him back in the backfield and have him at fullback and tight end full time, which we're going to benefit from as well. But I tell those guys all the time, as y'all go, we go. It all starts up front. We know we need those guys to play well. And Coach Smith's got those guys playing, at a high level right now. And we just got to continue that, all the way through, those phases I just talked about.
One of the questions submitted was more or less, do you have that group in mind? Will it be the kind of competition where you're going to, at the end of fall camp, say, hey, these are our 5 guys, and then we're going to find a spot for them? Cross training, how important is that type of thing right now?
Yeah, I think it's vital. Anytime you can cross train guys and guys can play multiple positions, again, it just creates depth. And especially at that spot and that where it's at, we need depth. We got some young guys that are going to be here in June that are going to provide depth as well. We anticipate that. But yes, those guys some of those guys play multiple positions. There's a lot of guys snapping the ball after practice in our snap school. So we're in every way trying to create and continue to create depth up front. You can't ever have enough of those big guys.
Interesting to talk about learning to be a center in snap school. What does that entail? And I was going to ask you about Aaron Service anyway. He's a guy who didn't really play center until he comes to college, and now he's moved back and forth center and tackle. And what are your plans there?
Yeah, so let's start with snap school. So what snap school is after practice or before practice. There's about seven guys. They could be playing tackle all day or guard, or one guy. The true center's there, and they just get with all the quarterbacks. We go up and down the field, just snapping the ball with different, calls, run calls, pass calls, snaps underneath and such. So those guys are always practicing and honing that craft, being a center, because those guys, it's easier said than done. Those guys do a really good job when they're on it.
You don't think it's that important? Watch any play with an errant snap and see how well it works.
No doubt. Yeah, it doesn't work out well. So it's vital, and it's just, again, creating depth and having those guys do it. If it's ever in a need.
In your mind, what's an ideal tempo? We didn't see tempo last year. Lots of reasons for that, and you can share them if you'd like to. But what do you want to see, and how does the snap and the center and the line get that going?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into tempo as far as how fast we're going to play in a game or not play fast. So out of the gate, yeah, I like to play fast and go fast. If that's what the game in that situation, calls for. If it doesn't, we'll go as slow as we need to, or whatever we need to do to win. We're willing to change those tempos and those paces. Our guys know how to adjust, and they know how to operate within each one of those. And it's obviously something we practice and we talk about and we do. So they feel it, they know it, I'm kind of on request, they can go do it. So, it's kind of exciting. And we can change those paces at any moment.
So if you've got 5, 6, 7 people in snap school, that means they got to be snapping it to somebody. It's like pitchers and catchers at spring training. They go hand in hand. And I'm excited just to think about there's numbers here. This feels at the moment, without all the freshmen coming in, like a major Division I, Power 5 roster in terms of numbers. And that hasn't been the case in the last couple of years. So the quarterback group would be next. And certainly that's the salacious one. And people love to talk about it. Tommy DeVito has the most experience there, but comes off an injury shortened season for him. And Garrett Schrader is acquired through the transfer portal. Let's start with those two, but I would give you the blank piece of paper relative to quarterback. Do you have preconceived notions about either of those two? Or are you figuring that out now?
Yeah, I figured it out. It's a competition. It's been that way since day one, and we got on the turf and started spring ball. And both of those guys right now are competing. Both of those guys are getting better and working every day. I mean, they have certain things that they've got to attack, that they've got to do when we step on the grass, and both of those guys are in that direction of doing that. So, just motivated where they're at right now in the direction they're headed.
How about a 10-second scouting report on each?
DeVito obviously has time here. He has time in the offense. So a guy, they're not kind of comparable in that sense, because Tommy's been here for a while. So Garrett steps in as a transfer guy. He's got to learn the offense and pick it all up in a short amount of time and get reps. So, for where they're at both right now at this moment, it's something we can build on. So just excited about both of their development through the rest of spring ball, summer and the fall camp.
And for anybody after that, what's up for grabs for them? What type of role on the team for Jacoby and Morgan and these guys who we saw a little flash last year, and some guys thrown out prematurely, out of necessity, and that applies to a number of positions. But what are they going through right now?
Yeah, those guys are right there in the mix of as far as getting reps, and I mean, you just saw it this past season. All of a sudden we went through 2 quarterbacks in a hurry, and now all of a sudden you're a true freshman, you're playing and you're starting. So that stuff can happen. It can happen in a hurry. And what those guys got to do is just prepare every day, make sure their knowledge is at a high level and they understand how to operate and function the offense, when that needs to happen. And just like those first 2 we talked about, my standards for those other guys is no different. Those guys have to show up every day. They have to compete. They have to work. They have to execute. And that's their mindset when they come to practice every day.
We're visiting with Sterlin Gilbert, the Orange's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and excited to be doing it. And we thank everybody for being with us in this huddle, brought to you by Dunn Tire, the official tire retailer of Syracuse Athletics. I think that theme will play out about this guy or that guy got experience last year because it was a wonky year. There were opt-outs, there were injuries, there was attrition, various, the team took its lumps. No more so than the story of Sean Tucker. As we move on to running back, he showed to be capable, and maybe last year at this time he wasn't really highly in the plans. How about where he comes in now, and what kind of strut does a guy have after running for 500 yards or so as a freshman?
Yeah, confidence. I mean, that's the first thing that I think about, and then just being able to compete and play in the games that he did at that level. I mean, experience is invaluable, and that's the one thing he gained. And not only did it gain it, he had success doing it. We're going to see a couple clips here in a minute, but just how he's able to run the ball, his vision, his strength. He's a great kid. He's hardworking, has a great smile about him. He's an easy guy to love and coach because of what he wants to be and who he is. But he's a really talented football player. He's only continue to get better. Right now, he's having a really good spring with the carries and touches that he's getting. And, he's a difference maker.
And you had Abdul Adams, Jarvan Howard did not play a year ago. Certainly they are in the cards. The idea is that they would be back and available for you come the fall. But just the idea of having 2, 3, 4 potential people there, how much stronger does that make you in the running game?
Yeah, I mean, depth there is vital too, and very important, especially how we want to be able to run the football and come downhill at people. It's important to have that depth and have those guys in the stable for us, and we do. We're excited about that running back room. Coach Lynch has done a really good job coaching those guys up, and their development. And Sean's a prime example of that as a true freshman. What he was able to do and where he's at. As we said here today, spring ball wise.
Moving out to the perimeter, so much banging on the drum last year. Get the ball to the tight end. Aaron Hackett has moved on. Luke Benson now the incumbent at that position. We're going to see a clip on him as well. What is your thought about the tight end position before we get to the specific personnel?
Yeah, I like our room right here with it. You know, it's a mix of guys that can do multiple different things. That's what I like about those guys. They're versatile. When I think about Luke, you know, Luke brings speed to the table. He's a 10-6 guy coming out of high school. He's got some range about him. He's able to get in there and mix it up and bring physicality, you know, when we're in certain personnel sets. So he does that. You know, we got some young guys behind him that are going to grow and develop. You know, Max Mang's a guy that's come in and is going to have a chance to be a difference maker as well, and what he can bring to the game with his size and strength. You know, you can throw Rhino in that mix as well. You know, mix of fullback and tight end. You know, he's kind of freaky athletic with things he can do, and with his feet and his eyes and his has, you know, hands as well, so he can be effective, you know, getting the ball to him out in space as well.
Shows you the versatility, and thanks to Tony, who was the season ticket holder. That was, I'm sure many were thinking of it, but Tony submitted the question: are you going to use the tight end more? But Luke Benson standing next to Chris Elmore, you're thinking these guys are the same position? Well, not really, but they can be used in different ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're in the same room, but yeah, two different body types right there, two different speeds, two different strengths. But yeah, those guys can be used in multiple different ways, and then, you know, we're using those guys right now in spring ball, you know, testing those waters with it.
In the receiver group, Taj Harris, again, would be kind of the leading incumbent in terms of the stat sheet and the productivity from a year ago as an outside receiver. We've got a clip on him to show. What do you hope to see in an ideal receiver in your mind? And what are the differences and expectations inside, outside in terms of the way those players are developed?
Yeah, I mean, production is the first thing. They've got to be productive. And I mean, it's a production league, and the NFL is a production league, and it's about catching the football and you know, doing something with it after you catch it. So that's what we're looking for in our guys. And, you know, speed jumps out at me, guys who can be able to run, stretch the field, get vertically down the field, and, you know, make people cover us that way. You know, from an outside inside, you know, comparison with our guys, you know, maybe favorably, some of our outside guys are a tad bigger, you know, and our inside guys might not be quite as tall. But I think, you know, in some instances, those can flip as well. But again, it's going to come back to productivity with us, guys who catch the football and to do something with it after the catch.
I guess you've already answered. I was going to say, what's the biggest barrier to getting on the field for a young guy? Because there's been some material recruited at that position, right? You look at some, and last year, maybe guys only got into one game for a specific reason, right? I'm thinking about Damian Alford played a couple plays here and there. Isaiah Jones is on special teams here and there. The next step is what?
Yeah, just knowing and understanding the offense, and, you know, you got to know where you're at. You got to know the routes, but you got to catch the football. You know, it's one thing to be in that spot, but if you're not going to catch it, you know, then you're probably not going to be out there much. So it goes back to us with that. It's kind of that simple. You know, guys got to be productive. They've got to be able to know where they're at, but at the end of the day, they got to catch the football and do something with it.
I sense optimism from you, and that's what football coaches are good at. Are you excited? You have to feel a lot better now about what you have than any time prior.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you just rewind to last year. We had 3 days of spring ball. You're going through all that, and I mean, you get into fall camp when you're finding out the information, you know, that you normally would have found out last April, that you're finding out in July. So, you know, so yeah, we're absolutely excited. Our guys are excited. You can just feel it. You can feel the energy about how they're showing up every day, just how, you know, willing they are to work and do the things that we're asking them to do.
All right, want to show some video?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So the coaches, Coach Gilbert's got his clicker here. They live in this auditorium showing the film to the guys. What we're going to see on most of these plays, we've got a 50-yard line view and then an end zone view of the same play. And sometimes that might be better to see the blocking that made the play available while the rest of us are watching the ball.
All right.
So take us through. We got
kind of starting right here. Yeah, this is Sean Tucker on a run, and really kind of what it highlights right here is us up front. And then right on a big block right here, this is him, you know, obviously the last game of the season, and he's moved back to fullback. So just his physicality, his presence on the field with this. And then Sean Tucker, you know, making a really nice run, you know, something that ends up being, you know, consistent with him and how he's able to tote that thing around. So again,
here's the team that was in the playoff.
Yeah, the good football team right here in Notre Dame. Again, just showing us up front, some guys manhandling guys and some one-on-one blocks. And then Sean, you know, doing his part to get north and south right there. Nice job making this guy miss and hurdling this guy and then finishing in the end zone. So really, really big time run right there. You know, obviously as a true freshman.
Love it. Next up,
Yeah, I think this is Sean again. Sean out of the backfield on the catch. It just shows a little bit of his speed. You know, you got to see it feel a little bit on the last play. But a guy who's got breakaway speed, he can get away from people. You know, a guy, again, we'll hand it to him, we'll throw it to him either way. You like the ball in his hand. So
spreading
nice
out there.
Yep, you got him spread out right here, and just
Block
a nice,
on the perimeter by Anthony Quealy.
Yep, nice job by Quealy with those guys blocking downfield.
Again, against the Notre Dame team was very good. This is at home against Duke, and up the sideline to Taj Harris.
Yeah, so this is Taj over there in the boundary. Really nice move off the line of scrimmage, and then dropping a dime on him, and then him just being probably the fastest guy in the stadium at that moment. So, you know, that's something we want to replicate and have done with him a lot this coming season. But again, nice throw right here by DeVito, and dropping dime on him, and you can see Taj right there.
Look at him
right
widening.
Yeah, he can open up and run. He can really run. He's got elite speed.
Another player that has great speed for his position. We talked about Luke Benson, also against Duke, and you just kind of get him in space here.
Yeah, so it's a really good play right here with Luke. Again, 10-6 guy coming out of high school. He can really run. You can see right here, no one is going to catch him. He gets right here on the edge, gets his hips headed north and south, which pretty much at that moment it's over for Duke. So it's a really nice play by him. Again, excited about him, excited about what he's doing right here in the spring. Great kid, great work ethic, and you know, excited about him.
Anthony Quealy, this is right at the 20, so we're entering the red zone. You got to get points.
Yeah, so this is Quealy right down here in the boundary again on a vertical route. Runs by him and get a nice ball to him. Again, a guy who's having a really good spring. He's the guy kind of comes to mind talking about early reps on day one, day two, as compared to last few days. He has really improved. He's really gotten better just in a 2 weeks or so.
Can you go, Coach, into the interplay between the two receivers here in terms of their spacing and what they're responsible for? Because it looks like Quealy's not covered that much, but if I can catch the number, your inside receiver here is drawing some attention.
Yeah, he is. So this is they've got their normal split right here, and he's just trying to occupy that, the safety right there, which he does a great job of. You know, and they're probably not happy with what their corner did right there, but we made them pay for it. So good recognition by the quarterback on this route. And just the inside guy helping this guy get open as well.
Then this is kind of the dessert on our plays here. One of the at the end of the season, you've got, unless there's maybe one that's more clearly, another look. Yeah. At the end of the season, so there's this trip to Notre Dame, and you're thinking, well, what can you do at Rudy's place here? And here's Cooper Lutz, who gave you great spot duty, and this is no joke. For the rest of his life, he's going to say he has an 80-yard touchdown run, one of the longest touchdown runs in Syracuse football history, and it happened to be at Notre Dame.
Yeah, that he does. You know, this is a great clip for multiple reasons. Obviously, with Cooper getting out and running right here, getting on the edge. Again, us up front, guys doing a really good job of blocking. You know, some man blocks right there, and then Cooper turning the corner. You know, he's had an impressive spring. I think he was around, I know he was around 30 plus on 225 reps. He's a very, very strong kid and runs really well. You know, and there's a couple of young guys in this picture as well. You know, Courtney Jackson, Damon, Tank. You know, I've seen the O-line guys right there.
Yeah. We'll pause it there for our defensive plays coming up with Coach Tony White in a little bit. When a guy, Cooper, and you can tell us, I don't know where he rests in your plans. When a guy has success, what does that mean in terms of setting up the way he approaches practice after that?
Yeah, you take him in particular, being a great kid. He's moved over from receiver back to running back, you know, but he's able to get on the field and get, you know, game reps, obviously, at the running back position, and then go have success doing it. So it goes back to creating that depth, and what it does as you know, from a coaching standpoint, it gives you confidence in the young man and his abilities and what he brings to the field. And, you know, when he's on the field, hey, these are the things we can do with him. These are the things we can utilize with him. And you just evaluate, and those are things that you know, and you can tailor play calls off of that.
Let's do a couple quick hitters here. Assist to Sports Information Director Tyler Cady for outstanding work behind the scenes, making everything run smoothly here. Couple quick hitters, just because these are the questions fans ask. We'll do kind of a lightning round here. Quarterback runs. What's your feeling on that?
like them, in certain situations, we really like them.
Chris Bleich in particular, didn't get to see him at all last year. What does he bring to the table as a transfer from Florida that played?
Yeah, absolutely. Got playing time in the SEC, played, I believe, in 6 to 8 games. He's healthy. That's the next biggest thing with him, getting back healthy. He's that right now. And he's getting to play within this offense as far as reps and just practice and learning and knowing. So really excited about his development right now.
And the last thing for me would be, what are you most excited to get done between the end of spring practice here and the time that plane leaves for Ohio, September 3rd, to open the season?
Just going back and evaluating our personnel and knowing what we're going to have going into fall camp and into that first football game. Who is that going to be? Where are they going to be at those spots? Who are they going to be those 5 guys up front? Who's going to be saying set hut, pulling the trigger at quarterback? So those are all, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of decisions to make and evaluations to go until we get to that football game. But that's the exciting part. You get to see guys compete when you put them in that situation. Like we said, on our side of the ball, we got competition at multiple spots. And what that does, it brings out the best in guys. And that's been fun to see. And it's been fun to see that on a daily basis. All
right, Coach, thank you for your time and your candor. 5 more practices here, another 15, 20 in training camp in the fall. Looking forward to that and can't wait for it. Best of luck. Enjoy the summer.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you to all the fans that tuned in tonight. Thank y'all.
That's Sterlin Gilbert, new to our community, about to go into his 2nd year as the offensive coordinator here for Syracuse football. Defensive coordinator Tony White is next. We thank everybody for taking part tonight, regardless of what your point of entry may be. If you're a season ticket holder, we thank you for that and for your support. We thank the sponsors in the business community that have done what they've done to continue to keep things running as smoothly as possible here. And we hope everybody has weathered the storm, has made it safely through, and hopefully coming out of all of the restrictions of COVID from here on out. The team, as you know, has been very, very careful. And here we are in the football auditorium. In fact, for a lot of us that are here tonight, it's our first time in here in more than a year, and everybody's vaccinated and playing it safe. As far as the season tickets are concerned, and we'll be talking with all of you here throughout the next number of weeks. We've got another 1 or 2 of these huddles for Dunn Tire coming up in time. Do remember that the key date is this Friday for your season ticket renewals. So get those in. If you have questions, contact your representative. I know I personally still need to drop that in the mail for this week, but they will take care of you. They're ready and standing by to answer any questions you may have. Excited to get into the Dome for the coming year and tell you all the exciting things about that. In fact, John Wildhack will be our next subject in our Dunn Tire huddle here to give us a feel to what we can expect in the Dome. All right, let's switch to the defensive side of the field and welcome in our friend Tony White, new defensive coordinator here as well. Also sort of new, and as Coach, thanks for being with us, first of all. And as we started with Coach Gilbert, we just haven't had the opportunity to be in the building, to see you guys do your handiwork, to kind of get to know one another and watch your development here in time. So I feel like as far as those new hires, you and Coach Gilbert, we're kind of hitting the reset button in a way here, and let's do it right this year.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the season ticket holders for making this place special. It's a unique place, and I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to work under Coach Babers. Grateful that I was awarded the chance, and yeah, man, let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get going.
Well, it's fantastic. Football is what you do. I know you've got infectious energy. Why is this a fit for you? You had your background, and you can touch on it if you'd like, some of the positions you've had, but at San Diego State for Coach Long for a long time, won a lot of football games out there, bowl games, and you're working your way up. Then you get a defensive coordinator type opportunity at Arizona State for Coach Herm Edwards, who also has that kind of infectious. What are your formative experiences, and what is it that you bring to the table here now under Coach Babers?
Yeah, just real briefly, I was a GA at UCLA back when that was my first interactions with Coach Babers, was in 07. I got a chance to go to New Mexico under Coach Long for a year. And then when Coach Long went over to San Diego State in 09, he brought me over, and I was at San Diego State from 09 to 17 in various roles. And I was grateful for that, just because he was able to add titles to my job description, which, you know, you don't know at the time. You want these extra duties, but you don't know what it entails. So I was able to get all those extra duties, recruiting coordinator, all those things that to really help me learn how to be a good assistant coach, a good recruiting coordinator. And then made the move with Coach Gonzalez to Arizona State, and got a chance to implement the defense there, and again, be a good assistant to Coach Gonzalez, who's now at the University of New Mexico, but also get a chance to learn from, like you said, Herm Edwards, Marvin Lewis. I mean, just the experience from the NFL, the experience being in football from that level. And then, you know, I was just promoted to defensive coordinator over there, and you know, the Lord worked it in mysterious ways, man, because there's some things that happened, and an opportunity presented itself. And we kind of, my wife and I just sat there thinking to ourselves, and, you know, we got a great opportunity at both places, and went to bed thinking one thing one night, woke up the next day and said, hey, I need to be an Orangeman. So it's been great. It's really been neat to work for Coach Babers. He's given me a chance to really put my spin on the defense and who I am as a coach, and hopefully I can repay him the favor.
There is some East Coast in your background, right? I mean, this isn't completely out of left field. So there was some appeal here to you based on the history of the program and the geography as well.
Oh yeah, grew up in New York, Queens, New York. My mom still lives there. She works in the Bronx for, man, over 35 years, owning her own business over there. So it's crazy, man. Life just brings you in cycles. You know, it started off here, went west, and then came right back out here. So again, man, you just never know. All you can do is be ready for the opportunity when it presents itself.
And you have been, except that, as we've talked about, and certainly unless you've been under a rock and on a different planet, it has been a very difficult last several months. And football is the easy part, where that's the fun and games. It has been a year unlike any other in so many categories and walks of life. So you take a new job and then wham, right? Now it probably feels like ancient history, but where were you in terms of trying to get done football-wise what you wanted to get done? And when you look at last year's team and tape, how close is that to what you want it to be?
Oh, it's not even close. You know, as you said, wham, here you go. You get the coordinator job under a great coach, great program, and then it's like, you know, you start off spring ball, you get a chance to be around coaches that you don't personally know, and then this thing hits. And just like everybody, you know, you had to kind of figure it out as you went along, you know. And the hardest thing was, you know, for us, we could deal with things. You know, we knew how to deal with it with ourselves. But I think the biggest thing going through the whole pandemic was about the players. You know, you had to manage young men at a crucial time who really, if you think about it, they're here playing football, they got a scholarship, everything, their whole life is centered around this game, this great game. And it's all taken away from them just like that. You don't know if you're going to play. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't even know if there's going to be a season. You don't know if you're going to get a season back if they don't play. And it's hard to manage that kind of deal through Zoom, you know, over the phone, when these young men are so used to being connected, you know. And I think that was the hardest part, was trying to connect with all the young men in the program, making sure that those guys were taken care of, and those guys knew that we were still resources for them, you know.
Well, forget about 3-3-5 and everything else. If you sign up to be a college football coach, so much of your job is mentoring, especially when you start with recruiting, 16 to 23-year-old young men. And you and Coach Gilbert and Coach Babers and everybody we'll talk to has been doing that through a time of really, I won't say unprecedented social unrest and all of that, but a lot going on here. Certainly a global pandemic is the first in any of our lifetimes to be at this scale. What have you learned about yourself in that time? How would you evaluate yourself as a mentor and a coach?
I think, you know, the biggest takeaway from it is, no matter how much noise is going on, I think you got to keep your world small. You know, you got to somehow find a way to focus back on the little things that matter the most. You know, number one with me, it was my family, you know, making sure that they were taken care of, that I could support them in any which way they needed to. With the young men, again, making sure that they understood that, hey, there's some things you can't control, some things you can't control. And we want to make sure that they focused on what they could control, making sure they stayed in shape, making sure their academics was in order, making sure they're not doing stuff that was necessarily coming from outside sources versus their own choices, making sure they kept their world small and just going with the flow, keeping them patient, keeping them confident, and making sure that they knew that this place was still home and we were still there for them.
I'm not the only one that got a COVID-19 over the course of the past year. So
COVID 25.
That's real talk though, right?
Real talk.
These guys, a lot of them are want to be professional athletes, certainly in the pros, that's another thing, but they're paid to do it the right way and all that. And for a college student athlete, I just think it's all flooding to me now about all of the different challenges. And hey, nobody wanted this team to be 1-10 a year ago, except for your ACC counterparts. But when you think of how does that happen? Well, there was a lot to juggle.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's so many stories. I mean, I remember being on Zoom and guys pushing cars for their weights. Right. I remember seeing guys during defensive meetings in closets. So that way they had a quiet space where nobody was messing with them, sitting in cars in the park, trying to learn the playbook. You had so many, and you had other guys jumping off of buildings, backflipping and stuff like that,
Josh Black doing his goofy stuff,
stuff like that, man. There's so much that went into it last year, but I think through adversity, you really learn a lot more about yourself, and I truly believe that we can use what happened, use the 1-10 season, use all those negative things and really refocus and say, hey, how do we change it? How do we get better?
So one of the things that any program would promote and would be proud of is your NFL products. You didn't recruit any of these defensive backs that are heading into the draft here. You got to move them around as your X's on the X and O board here in the last year, and you saw them be very productive, particularly in takeaways, which was one of the strengths of the Syracuse defense last year. So when we think about Andre Cisco, Ife Melifonwu, Trill Williams, and the idea that 1, 2, 3 of them could potentially be drafted here at the end of the month, that's awfully exciting. What does it mean? What's the first thing top of mind to you?
Well, that's number one. That's great evaluation. That's great development. That's the process. You have a certain type of profile that you're looking for, and you believe in that profile, and you bring them in. The Coach Monroe did a great job with them, and then us coming in here, Coach West, putting those guys, just essentially making sure that those guys knew that they had the resources to go out there and be themselves. Go out there and showcase. Those players are the ones that are making the plays, not us as coaches. Those guys are the ones that are showing off their brand. They're telling the world who they are. And as coaches, the best thing we can do is kind of step back and say, hey, go be yourself, man. Go be confident in who you are and what you're about. It's our job to make sure they know what to do and how to do it, but it's your job to go out there and be yourself, and it was cool. It was cool to watch.
What's it mean in terms of the example they set? Your remaining players, what did they learn from those guys? If and when we're fortunate to see them get drafted and hold up pro jerseys, what's the ripple effect back into the program and recruiting?
I think the number one thing that you can see is that you can do it. You can be, these guys came in as high school guys, young men that believed in a program, that believed in them, came here, did their time, and I'd venture to say that some of those guys ended up being some of the best at their positions. I mean, Andre Cisco, he didn't come in as some 5-star, defensive back. Also, he came in here, developed at a place that believed in him, gave him an opportunity, and he balled. Ife, same way, came in here, believed in the coaches, believed in the plan, the process, came in here, same way. Again, it's fun to watch.
And those players will all go down as among the best players here in recent memory. Cisco is going to have the stats that are going to have him in the record book here for an awfully long time. I mean, in terms of the production that he had from the defensive back position, the ball hawking, and we'll let Mel Kiper and all of those people tell you about what to expect of them in the pros. But their mark was certainly made here. For what it's worth, the players we're talking about were from the Bronx, Long Island, and Boston. I'm not arguing for or against any particular thing. That's just an observation. What does that mean to you? Asterisk with IMG Academy being a top high school program and formative of pros. That's where Andre Cisco his path was through there. To me, when you say it can be done, there's a little proof that it can be done by recruiting the bordering states.
Oh, for sure. 100%. As the recruiting coordinator, it was always about home, take care of home first, and also trust in your evaluations. Those are the two biggest things, takeaways from that group of young men. Trill, I mean, again, hometown hero. Iffy, he was a great story because he's a guy who you looked at and you knew about his brother, but he's a totally different player. He's his own player who made himself into possible first, second round draft choice. And those things weren't said prior to coming into the season. So again, it's all about taking care of your backyard and trusting the process.
Iffy's brother, Obi, played at UConn and then in the NFL with the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe some other teams there. So all the best wishes to those guys. And it's interesting with recruiting, and that's not what we had you on here to talk about tonight, but it's obviously always of interest. Recruiting to San Diego State is one thing. Recruiting to San Diego, I'd like to try my hand at that. Recruiting here, what are the biggest leading pitches right now? How do you feel about how that's going?
Oh, I feel great about it. Again, it all starts with the head man. I mean, he's a guy who's a player's coach. He cares about his players. He cares about his players both on and off the field. I think that goes without question, number one. Number two, the prestige of Syracuse, private institution that, I didn't even know until I stepped foot on this campus how exclusive this place is. I mean, it's academically, it's phenomenal. These guys, the degree holds a lot of weight. And that little orange symbol, you don't realize how many people, when you walk around with that orange on, they kind of give you that little head nod and say, okay, I see you, man. So it's a big deal. It's a great institution.
Back when we used to actually go through airports, and
oh yeah,
there will be those days again. You'll be off Zoom and back out there on the path and having a normal football life here pretty soon. So let's talk some ball, and we'll kind of just go through the position groups a little bit, and I think the first overview would be just to kind of get an idea of spring ball. When you come in, what is your checklist like? The way the cycle of the year goes. You had your regular season that's over. It's recruiting for the coaches and it's conditioning for the players for the next number of months. Then you have an opportunity here in spring ball to have 15 practices as you all get back together. So when you see these guys, what do you see at first?
Okay, so you gave me geeked up, man. Okay, now listen up. First of all, on the defensive side of the ball, that wasn't it. All right, let's get that out of there. That wasn't it, And so it started back after the last game, and we as coaches came together and said, all right, we got to set out a plan. You want to direct the young men so that way they understand, they see how are we going to be different than last year. So as coaches, you go back through and you say, okay, let's go back through the scheme. All right, let's change some stuff up. Let's put this guy here. Let's do this. Let's call this something different. Let's take out a whole bunch of unnecessary thinking. So that way those young men in that room can play fast, and then, so we did that, go back in there. Now you say, all right, in terms of how we meet, was that the most advantageous to the young men? Do they need more breaks? Do we need to set it in a way where, hey, they see the same thing over and over and over again to get concepts better? We got to become better teachers. Okay. So then it goes back to, okay, are we meeting enough? Do we need extra time here? Do we need to meet as a full defense? Do we need to break up a little bit more? So all those things started right after the last game.
Well, what works for one guy doesn't work for 40 guys.
100%. You got to know your room. You got to know the guys. Just like all of us, we learn differently. We hear it, we see it, we absorb it differently. So we had to go back to the drawing board and say, how are we going to be different? And we laid out this plan for the guys and we showed it to them. So that way they can see a tangible plan up there of how we are going to play football the way it's supposed to be on the defensive side of the ball. The way I'm accustomed to, the way I grew up knowing with those guys like Coach Long, Danny, being around Herman, Marvin, and all those guys. And so you show it to them and you say, okay, this is how we're going to be different defensively wise. And then Coach Babers, as Coach G said, there's a lot of things that we're doing differently as a program, in terms of lifting, and Coach E over there getting on them with their running program, all that stuff, a little different than how it's been done before. Spring ball is physical, a lot of competition going around. So there's a lot of things that are going on that have been different, so to speak. But you got to show it to the players, so that way they know. So that way there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Here's my first reaction to that, and we've all been around Coach Babers for a long time now, and we've heard his sayings and phrases and what have you. And he's got a lot of them, but he talks, hey, the definition of insanity, right? You're not going to keep doing something the same way on a regular basis and expect different results. And so therefore, if you want different results, you got to change what you're doing.
You better do something different.
And he's never been afraid of that. And
Yes,
so Coach Eden, you said Coach E, that's Sean Edinger, strength and conditioning coach, not just in this program, but universally is really known as the head coach of the offseason in many ways, because the rest of the position coaches and things do not have that same level of access and ability to coach the players, and strength and conditioning is so important. So you're saying some different things. You're seeing different things happen and get results.
Oh, 100%. And that comes from the head man all the way down. And I've heard that numerous times, and I think everyone here can recite that same thing about the definition of insanity. And again, it's cool to see as a collective group the plan and how it's been put in place since January and how it's taken shape. And you can see the tangible results. You can see guys bigger, faster, and stronger. You can see guys mentally tougher. You can see more competition. You can see more camaraderie out there. And again, it wouldn't happen if again, Coach Babers, all the different department heads, recruiting department, Coach E, who again, he makes these guys the head coach of the offseason, all the work him and his staff put in. And then finally, when it turns to spring ball, now it kind of relinquishes it to us, Coach G and myself and Coach Babers. And again, it's fun to watch for the difference from January to now, but we still got a long way to go.
All right, so if we work our way back through from the line of scrimmage back, and you start on the defensive line, another of the many things that are just different in the college football and college sports landscape this year is this idea of a super senior, or people that have played as much and been around as much as Josh Black, McKinley Williams. Now, there's been some injuries and things. They haven't all played 60 games, but they've been here. Aaron Service, we alluded to on the offensive side. When a guy says, hey, I want to come back and be part of this, it means what?
It means that I think that he trusts the program. He feels that this is a place that he needs to be here. He needs to be around these people. He needs to be around these coaches. He needs to be around these players. And I think they truly believe that that this is the place for them, because again, as the times have been unprecedented, the NCAA rules have also changed to be that way as well, with the transfer rules and guys getting the super seniors and guys being able to leave and all this kind of stuff. And you're seeing so much change in college ball that when a young man has options and he chooses to be here, that says something about the whole program right there.
Is there anything different that we would see this year? And again, if we go by what you say, and it's obvious that that's not what you had intended last year, and you're putting in a new defense and everything. But so the 3-3-5 is a different alignment. It's been used to great success at some other programs, including, as you mentioned, San Diego State. Those two players are people that the fans know. What are the responsibilities that change for anyone? And is it more implemented for this coming year? Will a role change for a guy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think as Coach G said, we're always trying to create depth. Well, on defense, now that we have a year of seeing what guys do best on the grass, it's different practice, is different in pajamas running around. I mean, on the grass against Trevor Lawrence, on noon on ESPN, what do guys really do? So now that you got a catalog of what they really do, and now I came back to, okay, is this guy here 50 times a game more important than this guy here 100 times a game? You know what I mean? So going back through schematic changes, that's the way we, not necessarily the way we line up, but what people are where, because of their certain skill set, I think is the thing that we're gonna get a chance to feature this fall.
That was something you had to work on early in the year, right? Getting kind of gas in the run game early. Did you feel like you made adjustments over the course of the season to at least get headed in the right direction?
Oh, 100%. I think the first two games were, your kind of feel out games, and that's who you had. And you had your Iffy and Cisco and Trill playing and all that kind of stuff. And then the Georgia Tech game just kind of hits you because it's a pregame. You lose one of the best defensive players in the country, pregame. And it's like, okay, who are we replacing him with? 160-pound freshman. And you're like, oh, okay, hold up now.
Yeah.
And then there was a span in there of the three games, which I didn't do a good enough job. You know, it's easy to point fingers at other people, but I think the most important thing is everybody understands that was me. You know what I mean? I didn't give those young men a chance in the Duke and Liberty game to go out there and be themselves. So after that Liberty game, it was like, all right, listen, man, I can't do that. I can't be like that. So we just kind of went back and took a step back and say, hey, let's just be ourselves. Let's just run the defense and let's just stop trying to be perfect and let the boys play. And I think there was a really good run there of us playing some good defense.
You think about the linebackers, and at times you're I think the number was like 40%, or maybe I'm even missing that. The percentage of tackles by freshmen last year was a stat I kept throwing out, just insane. And the good thing, they always say it's a well-worn football cliche, the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. Mm-hmm. And so now you've got, whether it's Steph Thompson, some of these other guys, what do you have in that linebacker level that gets you excited?
Man, you got a lot of versatility. You got guys who can blitz. You got guys who can cover. You got guys who can play on the line of scrimmage. You got guys who can play at the second level. I mean, you can play zone. You can play man with them. And the 3-3-5 defense, those linebackers have to be versatile. You can't just have a 4-3 plug-in middle linebacker. You can't just have an on-the-ball do one thing guy. You need guys who their skill sets are various. And so I really like the linebacking core. I think we got 5, 6, 7 guys in there who so far during spring have shown that, one, they're smart enough to get it done. With the changes that we've made, they're smart enough to get it done. And 2, again, they're athletic and they can fly around.
Linebacker always an important position to watch, because if we don't see them lined up, in a 3 linebacker or 2 linebacker set on the field, those are going to be key special teamers, kick coverage guys, and names that you're going to hear in other parts of the game. So Garrett Williams is a guy who last year going into the season, I don't know that anybody thought or expected much of anything about him at all. So he goes on and has really literally from the opening game, starts opening eyes and making things happen. It had to have rubbed off on him, those older guys that we're about to see maybe get drafted. When a guy comes back and he's almost a veteran sophomore or that type of thing, what does that mean in terms of the overall mix?
Yeah, that story for you and the season ticket holders, yeah. This is crazy that, having that veteran leadership, like you said. We used to have defensive meetings Monday night because of the class schedule. Mm-hmm. And just to show you how mature and like you said, that veteran leadership, how it rubbed off, Garrett and Iffy used to go back up after the meeting and sit down in there and watch film till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Every week they used to do that together. You know what I mean? And those guys fed off of each other, and it was again, like you said, we start off the season, nobody knew who Garrett was. But that's the great thing about football, because you give a man an opportunity and guys focus and a guy's worked hard for it. And a year later, he's one of the best DBs I've been around, So
I did hear there were some coaches saying we got to keep an eye on this guy.
We got to keep an eye on that guy real hard.
I did hear that. I heard there were some new coaches that came in and said, we got to make sure this guy's in the mix here.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler was one of the season ticket holders sent a question in, and you alluded to it, but we'll hit it directly. You mentioned, hey, sometimes we had to put a 160-pound guy in there. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that. Are you seeing appreciable gains, strength and conditioning from your players since last season?
100%. And again, that goes back to the great work that Coach E does, not only in the past, but also with what we're doing now. And you see guys bigger, stronger, faster. And the thing is that the coolest thing with all that is you see them mentally tougher. This is a physical spring now. It's a physical spring. And you don't see guys turning it down. You don't see guys, I want to take a day off. I'd rather be
decisions.
Yeah, you don't see business. You see guys wanting to get better. When you see guys wanting to compete, you see guys saying, hey, no, I want that rep again. And that's fun to watch, man. You have the makings of a good football team when you're mentally tough.
All right, you got me fired up. Let's look at some film here. And we had both of the coordinators select 4 or 5 plays that were representative of some things we can get excited about with returning players for this coming year. So this is a name brand. This is on the road at Clemson, and Bear Williams busting through the line.
Oh man, it's fun to watch. Bear decided to come back. And as a defensive coordinator, as any defense, good defense, it starts up front. And you got to have guys that can get after it and stop the run.
The guy on the ground's the all-time leading rusher in the ACC.
Oh, yeah, just not too bad, huh? Not too bad. But again, coming off the ball, being aggressive and physical, this is the kind of athlete Bear can be. And it's our job and responsibility to make sure that Bear feels confident that he can do things like this, that he can be aggressive and just go to the ball and fly.
All right, next up is another of those returning players with a lot of experience, Josh Black.
Josh Black, I think he's the unsung hero up there. He does a lot. He did a lot of the work. He's the most consistent performer, great leader, obviously athletic. If he can do backflips at about 285, I mean, he's one of my favorite players. Now, this is where the maturity comes into play. You can see Josh Black right here. He's getting a run set at him, and instead of running up the field, he has eyes on the quarterback. He can see it. So he plants a foot in the ground, redirects, runs his receiver down, and makes a tackle for a loss. You don't see many defensive ends do it.
It's a pretty impressive play, getting out to the pass here from the left defensive end position and against a player whose position you would expect to be much more agile. He makes the play. There's one of those freshman linebackers from last year, Steph Thompson.
Yeah, now this is funny because we were contemplating coming into the game running this kind of stunt here, and during the week, Steph made the play. He made the play in practice. So we're like, you know what? I'm going to call this the first play of the game and see what happens. And sure enough, again, you got a freshman right here who dips under a guy, takes on a block, and now has the wherewithal to make a tackle. That's the kind of excitement season ticket holders should be looking forward to come the fall.
Yeah, 24 takeaways last year by this defense, which was among the nation's lead. And that's really been pride in the program here in recent years, and you had people ganging up to the football here, and Mikel Jones gets a pick.
Yeah, and again, it's about playing good team defense. You got guys who are coming. You see against one of the better offenses in the country. Right there, you see Stephen Linton, who, again, is poised to have a great season. Come around, put a little heat on him, make him throw. But, again, it's about being in the right place at the right time. And Mikel right there, he's looking at the running back, and this is a coaching point that I think is really cool. We told Mikel in the game, if you really watch his helmet, if that tailback concept in football, if a tailback flares right now to make it 3 way, usually the 2 from the other side is coming back in. So you see him right now. He looks at the running back, 3 went away, 2's coming back in. You see his eyes. Now he knows where the ball is going to go, and now he puts himself in position to make a play.
Love it. That's why you spend all that time with the film study during the week. It's something for us to watch for. Now here we go again at Clemson, and one of the great plays made on the year by Garrett Williams.
This is a big time play, man. This right here is all about this guy. Sometimes it's going to be one-on-one, and here you go. You got Clemson. We call this the alumni zone because usually the alumni are sitting in between the 50s and they want to see touchdowns. So usually you get offenses that try to take shots. So we get a shot here from Trevor, and here's G-Man, 54-yard throw, one-on-one with one of the best receivers in the ACC. And I really think that this is the game where he made those plays in the game, and he proved to himself that he's like, all right, I can do this, and I can do this at the high level. I can ball, and it's fun to watch.
Had a pick 6 of Trevor Lawrence in that game, if I recall, and that was the first time that had happened in his career. We're going to hear from him here in a little while in the NFL draft, and we won't have to wait long to hear Trevor Lawrence's name called. And last is Jihad Carter in the season finale at Notre Dame.
Yeah, another one of these freshmen. Again, man, these freshmen are going to be the death of me, man. Run around here, but I tell you what, talented, putting guys in position, and they're the artists. Okay, those guys are the ones that go out there on the grass and make plays. We're blitzing them. He sees man free, and the great thing about it is, which is cool, an uncanny sense from Jihad. Usually, a freshman, a rookie would jump the first guy, the number 3 coming there on the lower route, and then they would throw the ball high. Jihad has great eyes on the quarterback. He sees that he has no body presence on the 3 coming across, jumps to 2, puts himself in a position to make a play. And again, that's really headsy. Great job by Coach Monroe, making sure that Jihad saw it, felt comfortable doing it, and going out there and letting them play ball.
Well, exciting stuff. And I know it was not a year that you and everybody else had in mind, but that's why they make the next year, and plenty of opportunity to put that behind everybody and get onto it. Coach White, thanks for your time here tonight. I appreciate the enthusiasm and and can see how it works on the recruiting trail and with the guys in the meeting room. So best of luck here for a strong finish to spring ball.
Matt, appreciate you. Season ticket holders, let's go. I can't wait. You got me amped up. I feel like running right now. Let's go. I hope to see you all in the dome in the fall.
Well, we haven't really even talked about the dome. That'll be in the cards for the next one of these that we do with John Wildhack in due time. So we thank Sterlin Gilbert and Tony White for being with us and all the support staff, both of the football department and in athletics productions that helped bring this together. We thank all of you that are season ticket holders and sponsors for being the lifeblood day in and day out of making the program thrive. Better days ahead. We thank you for that. Don't forget that your renewal is due on Friday, so do contact your sales representative if you have any questions. Cuse.com is a reliable place for you to find the answers to your questions. Let us know if we can help in any way. So thanks to everybody that was part of this, and thanks to you for watching. Many thanks to Dunn Tire as well. We'll have another evening huddle brought to you down the road by Dunn Tire, the official tire provider of Syracuse Athletics. Locations all throughout upstate New York, Syracuse, Southern Tier, Rochester, and Buffalo. Thanks to Dunn Tire and so on.